I think that is the biggest reason for optimism about this year's Bears that we've had in a year.
Interesting.
This guy's having to watch film by himself. It's a dark room. They don't even have projectors. Yeah.
If they had projectors, the room should still be dark, though.
Good point.
Kevin Wilds, Brew, anybody on the bubble of the Bud list?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're starting with Celtics. Not done yet. Boston forces a Game 6 without Jason Tatum. Derek White had 34. He hit 7 threes. Jaylen Brown had 26, 8, and 12. Brunson had a quiet game and fouled out with 7 minutes left. Here's Josh Hart after being asked, how important is the next game in New York?
That's such a stupid question. I mean, every game that you want to win, bro. Like, there's no added anything. Like, every game you want to go out there and win. It doesn't matter where, if it's at home or away. That question is stupidity to me. Every game you go out there, you want to win. You want to compete at the highest level, and obviously we didn't do that. And next game's our next game, and that's all we're focusing on is getting a win.
What did Boston prove?
They proved they have the heart of a champion.
God
I
dog
like
it.
that. Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
Yes, go.
Gosh darn it.
I mean,
right before the right while Wild's doing the intro, Brew and I usually do like a who wants to go first, and sometimes we don't even know, and so it's just like, Brew, go. I wrote they have heart and character of a champion.
Heart and
Brew already
character.
used it. Go ahead.
You know what that means? He didn't have a take.
Yeah.
No.
And he was playing. I couldn't have said anything. It would have been like, there it is. Look, Brew, I was going there.
Right there. Go ahead.
No, but that's been in question.
I was saying that. It was in question.
Look, they're losing to a team that everyone feels they're better than. And I get it, Tatum's out now.
Yeah.
You can debate, they're not better now. They were down 3-1 with Tatum. Even though they would have lost that game, I firmly believe, even if he hadn't gotten hurt. All right, so that puts you in question. You brought up, Nick, last week, their championship last year. I mean, a championship's a championship. You get your props for it. But everybody was hurt. Butler was hurt. Cleveland was banged up when they beat them.
Halliburton went out.
Yeah, and then they get Indiana, a young Indiana Pacers team in the conference finals. So all of that was in question, and they're still going to catch some heat if they lose this series. But last night they showed, look, we are just not going out like this on our home floor. You lose 3 games on your home court in a playoff series against a team that you're supposed to be better with than that you were 4-0 against in the regular season with blowouts. So they erased that. And Nick, what they did, and you kind of alluded to this yesterday, the ball was moving.
Oh, I got a graphic.
The ball
for
was
you, Brew.
moving. 27 assists, which was their highest in these whole playoffs. In the 3 losses, they averaged 16 assists. And Jason Tatum is great. A lot of times, great players, they're going to get it, and they're going to go ISO. He can do that, and guys are watching. Certainly the strategy without Tatum has to continue to be get the ball moving, and if we're hot from 3, we got a shot.
You want to go, Wilds?
No, I had the same point. I really did have the same graphic. I don't know if we can cue it up, but there was less ISO ball. At the same time, so we averaged 26. I don't play for the Celtics. The Celtics averaged 26.
They'd be in trouble.
Remember, out here like Peyton Pritchard. First round of the Magic. Magic's good defense, 20 assists. First 4 games, 18. Last night, 27. Now, there was a huge kind of Cornet outlier game, even though I did say that he could play, and you guys said, you specifically said he wasn't
this was
good.
Wilds and I oddly had a Cornet-based argument.
Yeah.
But sadly for Wilds,
If he was on the Lakers, he would be like a max player.
Like Luka and LeBron would turn him into a max player.
Sadly for Wilds, that argument was in his office at noon yesterday and not on the air, so he didn't get vindicated from it. But you're right. You're a Cornet guy.
Here's the other thing you can prove, and maybe if you want to go back to the Celtics, but time to be a little bit worried.
See, okay, so this is where I'm not, but go ahead.
Here's the graphic. This has to be filed into not necessarily something, but not nothing. Closeout games this century, which Game 6 will be on Friday.
So can I meet you in the middle on this?
So basically, that's 3 that are relevant.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that the 01 Knicks and the 2013 Knicks have no relevance whatsoever to this. I do think those first 3 matter. I think that this core group has lost 3 home closeout games in the last 12 months. That'll carry.
Counter argument, I think it's the building.
Oh, that they're going to be nervous or whatever, like that the.
I think the building's energy cuts both ways.
Oh, sure. And
That's
if they
all I'm
get
saying.
nervous,
That's why
okay.
I think it's. I know the teams are different,
Yeah.
the players are different, the opponents are different.
That-
Except that I think the Celtics are on their one, but the building's energy.
Yeah, but the building didn't. I get that to a degree. So I agree with Brew. To me, what Boston proved was the heart and character, and that they're not going to roll over.
Yeah.
What the Knicks side of it is, listen, OG went 1 for 12. I thought Bridges was poised. I thought Bridges and OG were poised to have really big offensive games because their workload defensively was going to be so much less without, one of them having to guard Tatum the whole game. It didn't go that way. You already mentioned the Cornette piece of it. So I think people are, in this moment, including Vegas, which has the Knicks as only 2.5-point favorites for Game 6, wildly overestimating or overviewing how good the Boston Celtics in their current form are. They were great last night, and I give them a ton of credit. But as far as projecting forward, if we were to go into a playoff series or a season, and the makeup of the team is their best player is Jaylen Brown, their second best player is Derek White, and then we are to Drew and Al, who in these playoffs have shown you they are every other game guys. You know what I mean? That they still, last night they were both good. The game before they were both awful. Like at their age and playing every other night, it has worn on them. It's not just that they don't have Tatum. They don't have Tatum, and they might as well also not have Porzingis.
True.
So it is, to me, with these teams in their current form, it is not that the Knicks have to play perfect. It is not that the Celtics have to go ice cold from 3. The Knicks are, in my opinion, far and away the better of the two teams as we get here for tomorrow night.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Man, and so
The Celtics are without 2 of their 3 best players right now.
exactly right.
If you put
If you include that Porzingis is essentially out, and I really think the Horford and Drew thing, what we now have for 3 weeks of a playoff scene, that they really are. Neither one of them have had like an A+ game yet, and it's just they volley between, ooh, that was a really rough game, and oh, that was a pretty nice game. And so for all those factors, I do think it's good they got Hauser back. That's the other thing I said in your office yesterday is the Hauser injury was ended up being more important. But I think you take all of that, and then you also take, this game was tied at half. And then that was a really weird third quarter.
Yes.
I'm not blaming the refs, but it's
A lively whistle.
18 free throws for Boston and 5 fouls on Jalen Brunson in 9 minutes in the third quarter. Put a different spin on the game, if you will. So I just think the Knicks are still in better position than Vegas does. I don't think that they're only a -270 favorite to win the series, and I think they should be bigger than 2.5-point favorites.
Brewers, do you put any stock into that graphic, that closeout graphic that the Knicks are aware of? If it's tied going into the fourth, or would you be super confident it's like Brunson take over? Or do you think the nerves of uh-oh, are we headed back to Boston?
I don't think the nerves will be an issue. This is a clutch team. Brunson obviously is a great clutch player, and I get what you're saying. New York, there's always pressure. And if you're struggling, that crowd can get to you. But I think it's far more positive than negative. As long as they're not getting blown away, I think the crowd will be a positive force for them. Now, I said yesterday, I think Boston wins Game 5, Knicks close them out in 6, and I'm sticking by that. But I do feel, Nick, this is interesting now. Because if Boston, and Derek White's been tremendous the last 2 games, is he going to keep that up?
Correct.
He's actually been good the whole series, really, but the last 2 he's been spectacular. But the Knicks better win this game, and they could win a 7 there. We saw Boston
That's
do
the
it
thing is, I
against
think
Miami.
they can win a game 7 in Boston.
7 they'd have a chance, but certainly the Celtics, you would think would have the advantage at that point. But we saw them lose to Miami in Game 7 after coming back from 3-0. So
I think this was a nice reprieve for Boston. I just don't think,
I think that's probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe not.
No, I mean, I feel better about them today than I did yesterday. I'll tell you that. As far
Time
as
now for afternoon headlines, sponsored by Ram Trucks. They are built to serve. Chiefs are going to open the season in Brazil and then come home to play the Eagles week 2. That one's on Fox. Then it's the Giants, the Ravens, and then the Prince and the Lions. Overall, KC leads the league with 7 primetime games. Here's what Chris Sims wrote. It's crazy how intense the Chiefs' schedule is. 7 night games, Thanksgiving, Christmas. The lack of a routine really jumps out. They don't play in the same day/time slot in consecutive weeks until mid-December. And Reed and Mahomes and the whole crew embrace it and never use as an excuse. Well, a little bit of a projection there, but we'll go with it. Chances the Chiefs' revenge season gets off to a slow start.
I love the schedule. I love that.
Love it.
Well, I already knew who they were going to play, so the question is the order. And I love that it's front-loaded for a number of reasons. One is the Chiefs actually hit in training camp. They actually play their guys, and because of that, historically, I know they lost the home opener to the Lions a couple years ago.
One-off.
Historically, they are really, really good in September. And I also, the part of last year's schedule that I hated, there were 2 parts actually. The 3 games in 10 days, and then the bye in week 5 or 6 that they had last year. So I'm not going to go game for game on this, but can I just tell you how I see the Chiefs' schedule breaking down in buckets?
Love it.
All right. Weeks 1 through 4, I think they're 3-1. They lose to either Philly or Baltimore. One of those 2. They are not losing a home opener to a Chargers team. Last time they were on the field, Justin Herbert's throwing 4 interceptions. They're obviously not losing to the Giants.
A weird,
weird home opener, right?
The Brazil game is